North Korea's vice foreign minister blamed President Donald Trump on Friday for making trouble through his aggressive tweets as tensions rise over the possibility the regime will launch another nuclear weapons test. Vice Minister Han Song-ri sat down for an interview with the Associated Press on the eve of the country's biggest national holiday, the Day of the Sun, amid increasingly bitter words between the two countries. Han accused Trump of building up a vicious cycle of tensions and warned the U.S. against provoking North Korea militarily. He said, "We will go to war if they choose." At the same time, a spokesman for the North Korean Foreign Ministry's Institute for Disarmament and Peace issued a statement condemning the United States for the attack on Syria, while also calling for peace by strength. The U.S. introduces into the Korean Peninsula, the world's biggest hotspot, huge nuclear strategic assets, seriously threatening peace and security of the peninsula and pushing the situation there to the brink of a war, the North's KCNA news agency said on Friday, citing the statement. This has created a dangerous situation in which a thermonuclear war may break out any moment on the peninsula and posed serious threat to the world peace and security, to say nothing of those in Northeast Asia, it said. Han's remarks come hours after a member of the Trump administration denied a report claiming the U.S. was prepared to launch a preemptive strike to halt any nuclear test at the weekend. North Korea blames Trump and the U.S. for the rising tensions, according to Han, who cited U.S.-South Korean war games, the deployment of a U.S. aircraft carrier to the peninsula last weekend, as well as Trump's recent tweets on Tuesday that the North is looking for trouble. Trump also called North Korea a menace earlier this week and tweeted that if China doesn't do its part to rein in Pyongyang's nuclear ambitions, the U.S. will solve the problem without them. Han said, "As long as the nuclear threats and blackmail go on with the military exercises, we will carry forward with our national defense buildup, the core of which is the nuclear arms buildup." He also talked of a sixth nuclear test, saying, "That is something that our headquarters decides. At a time and at a place where the headquarters deems necessary, it will take place." Vice President Mike Pence will embark on a 10-day visit to Asia, starting in South Korea on Sunday with contingency plans should it coincide with a nuclear test, a White House advisor said. CIA Director Mike Pompeo said North Korea was closer now than it had ever been to being able to threaten the United States with the nuclear-tipped intercontinental missile and increased its technical know-how with each new test. Experts do not believe North Korea has a deliverable long-range nuclear weapon, or intercontinental missiles. But that could change within the next few years, as experts say North Korea could have a viable nuclear warhead and a ballistic missile capable of hitting the U.S. mainland during Trump's watch as president. Aerial photos taken Tuesday show continued activity at the Punggye-ri nuclear site where U.S. officials fear a nuclear device has been installed in a tunnel ahead of another test. And Han, referring to North Korea as the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, said Friday, "If the U.S. comes with reckless military maneuvers, then we will confront it with the DPRK's preemptive strike. We've got a powerful nuclear deterrent already in our hands, and we certainly will not keep our arms crossed in the face of a U.S. preemptive strike." The message had been echoed in the days before, when North Korea said it would launch a merciless retaliatory strike against U.S. military action. Pyongyang also recently launched a ballistic missile, and some experts say it could conduct another nuclear test at virtually any time. But North Korea blames Trump and the U.S. for the rising tensions, according to Han. Trump is always making provocations with his aggressive words. So that's why. It's not the DPRK but the U.S. and Trump that makes trouble, he said. The annual military exercises have consistently infuriated the North, which views them as rehearsals for an invasion. Washington and Seoul deny that, but reports that exercises have included decapitation strikes aimed at the North's leadership have fanned Pyongyang's anger. "Our stance toward their hostile policy is strident and clear-cut," Han said. Now the Trump administration is thinking about several options as regards the DPRK. Those options include such reckless options as headquarter decapitation and the preemptive strike. "Whatever comes from the U.S., we will cope with it. We are fully prepared to handle it." U.S. intelligence officials told NBC if the U.S. is convinced North Korea will follow through on test, It can preemptively deploy Tomahawk missiles from 2 warships parked in the region. Bombers are also being lined up in Guam, and cyber and special operations on the ground may be utilized, the officials said. But a member of the administration shot down the idea, describing the report as flat wrong, while another official told Reuters it was speculative at best. The Pentagon declined comment, saying, as a policy, it does not discuss future operations nor publicly speculate on possible scenarios. U.S. Vice President Mike Pence will travel to South Korea on Sunday in what his aide said was a sign of the U.S. commitment to its ally. Pence's sole stop kicks off the long-planned 10-day trip to Asia, his first as vice president, and comes amid concerns that Pyongyang could soon conduct its 6th nuclear test. President Donald Trump has warned against further provocations, sending an aircraft carrier group to the region as a show of force. His officials have been assessing tougher economic sanctions as well as military options to curb North Korea's nuclear ambitions. Pence plans to celebrate Easter with U.S. and Korean troops on Sunday before talks on Monday with acting President Hwang Kyo-ahn. We are going to consult with the Republic of Korea on North Korea's efforts to advance its ballistic missile and its nuclear program, a White House foreign policy advisor told reporters, previewing Pence's trip. Pence will land in Seoul the day after North Korea's biggest national day, the day of the Sunday. The White House has contingency plans for Pence's trip should it coincide with another North Korean nuclear test by its leader Kim Jong-un, the advisor said. Unfortunately, it's not a new surprise for us. He continues to develop this program, he continues to launch missiles into the Sea of Japan, the advisor said. With the regime it's not a matter of if, it's when. We are well prepared to counter that, the advisor said. U.S. officials have played down the prospect of any military strike against North Korea, which would likely provoke massive North Korean retaliation and huge casualties in Japan and South Korea and among U.S. forces in both countries. China, North Korea's sole major ally and neighbor, opposes its weapons program and has called for talks leading to a peaceful resolution and the denuclearization of the peninsula. Military force cannot resolve the issue, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi told reporters in Beijing. Amid tensions we will also find a kind of opportunity to return to talks. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe also underscored fears about possible threats from North Korea, telling Parliament in Tokyo that Pyongyang could have the capacity to deliver missiles equipped with sarin nerve gas. Kim Jong-un made a public appearance in Pyongyang on Thursday, to open a housing project featuring residential tower blocks of various shapes, round, square and octagonal, with the tallest proclaimed as 70 stories, or 234 meters, high, and including nearly 5,000 apartments in total. Around 200 foreign journalists are in Pyongyang as the country marks the 105th anniversary of Day of the Sun. Officials had given no details as to the nature of a planned big event today or where it would take place, and similar announcements in the past to have been linked to relatively low-key set pieces. In the end, it turned out to be the grand unveiling of a block of flats. In 2016, for example, foreign journalists underwent hours of investigation by North Korean officials ahead of what turned out to be a pop concert to mark the finale of a ruling Workers' Party Congress. Washington-based 38 North, who monitors North Korea, has reported unusually high levels of activity at the Punggye-ri nuclear test site over the past 4 weeks. New satellite imagery from April 2 showed there was more activity around the North Portal, which is the tunnel where the 4 most recent nuclear tests have taken place. It was revealed that Kim Jong-un had overseen a Special Forces Commando operation, watching from an observation post as Special Forces dropped from light transport planes like hail and mercilessly blew up enemy targets. With a broad smile on his face, Kim praised his troops for their precision, saying the bullets seemed to have their own eyes, KCNA said, without identifying when the operation was held. The Rodong-Sinmun, the official mouthpiece of the ruling Workers' Party, carried several photos from the contest including one of Kim watching the troops parachuting down from jets into an open field. Another showed him grinning from ear to ear as he walked by cheering soldiers.